Hey, 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 it's the Rochester Wind Sports, Finger Lake Sports Courts It's the Finger Lake Sports Podcast, brought to you by Rochester Wind Sports on fingerlakes1.com. I'm Doug Willard, along with my co-host, Jason Gordon. We've got a special guest in studio we'll tell you about. And right now, it's a little bit after 2 o'clock on February 19th. Wind is blowing from the south outside the Finger Lakes 1 studio. And we've got a little bit of a thaw starting.
Oh, finally. Overdue. Exactly.
And so today's show, we've got some windsurfing gear you can view in the background here. But we'll also talk, Jason's going to talk about dry suits. He's going to do a dry suit comparison. Various types of dry suits we've got in studio that you'll be able to see. He can talk about different things. And we'll also talk about the Rochester Wind Sports Hook In and Hang Out, which was a little social that happened last month. Talk a little bit of the Tug Hill snowkite festival that happened up on the Tug Hill Plateau this previous weekend. And we'll do that with our special guest. And our guest today is he's one of the, if not the, original watermen in our area. Kite surfer, windsurfer. He gets out there. He's there every time that the wind is blowing. Let's check out a video clip here of our special guest, Lynn Davis. So this is Lynn, and he's got a GoPro camera there, and he's riding his kite at Montana Beach on Lake Ontario, and it's just a sight to behold.
Good stuff, Lynn.
Yeah, look at that.
That's a pretty solid shoulder-high wave day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That was actually Schlatt Beach in October.
Oh.
And that was for shoulder high and nice breaking waves and good afternoon, man.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, yeah.
Excellent. So there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Lynn Davis, our special guest today. Again, Doug Willard and Jason Gordon. So, Lynn, you're one of the original guys that, Jason and I have been doing this a little while here, but whenever we need to know somebody or we default to what you do here, when and where, how long have you been, doing this? A brief background, if you want. Windsurfing or kite surfing. What got you into it?
Well, I got into windsurfing. Yeah, back in had to be '83, I think. And a buddy of mine that I hang glided with turned me on to the windsurfing and got me started. And so I've been windsurfing for a long time. There's a lot of guys that have been around here longer than I have, but anyway, I started there, and I kept the windsurfing up to around 2001, I think. Then I started kiting, and I was pretty happy with that. We were taking trips to Hawaii every year and seeing the kiting over there. And one year, Powell and I decided we would give it a try. And after that, I've been kiting more than I've been windsurfing. Sure,
you've been getting out here in the winter as well. Jason has, and myself, so we see you around. But I guess you're right. You're good to say there. There's been plenty of guys that were doing it before you were, yeah. But you're one of the people that now is still going strong. I guess is probably more of what I felt like I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So that's excellent. When you started taking these trips, were they windsurfing trips you're taking to Hawaii, or were they? I'm curious about kite surfing. I might want to get into that.
Yeah, they were definitely windsurfing trips, and we'd take our own equipment over there because we'd stay for a month and ride the big waves right over there on the North Shore of Maui, and had a ball. But right down from where we were, there was Kite Beach, and so one day we were in the store, and there was a kite board for sale at the second-hand shop, and Paul and I had been talking about doing it and getting into it, and I saw that, and I put the money down on the counter, and that was the start of it. So
Okay.
Paul and I got into it, and we worked with each other, watched the videos, and figured that out, and then we went out and helped each other out and talked to all the locals and figured it out. And we'd go down every morning, we'd kiteboard for a couple hours, and then when the wind picked up and got really strong, we'd go back and windsurf in the afternoon. So we did that for...
That's the ideal plan.
Yeah,
it sounds like, at least all the people I talked to that windsurfed, Jay, and you windsurfed, some of them, their initial plan was, okay, well, I could do this kiting in a little bit lighter wind, and then when it really gets going up, then I'm going to windsurf. But you really get hooked on the kite surfing part.
Best sessions are the high wind sessions.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's all personal preference, but the best waves come up, and the stronger winds are generally more consistent. So yeah.
Right.
And now you're referencing Paulo. He's another crossover guy who went from windsurfing to mostly kiting now. How important was it to have a buddy when you were first starting to kite surf, and having somebody to, chase you down the beach and be your support when you're out, and vice versa?
I'd say it was essential. You really need somebody there in case you get in trouble that's looking out for you and is willing to run down the beach and grab your gear, help you out, and land you. That's a dicey part, is trying to do any self-landing in a new area. So we would work with it. We just had one kite and one board, so he would launch me and I'd zigzag downwind and he'd run down the beach and land the kite, and then we'd walk back up the beach and talk about what we did wrong, what I did wrong or what I did right, and what was working and what wasn't, and especially talking about equipment, trying to get that sorted out. Yeah. And it worked out really well, because when you're actually learning, it's nice to have a pair of eyes to see things that you don't see that are going on, like maybe where the kite was and what you did, and why you got yanked out of your shorts.
And in 2001, I'm guessing it wasn't quite as easy to find somebody to give instruction. So while we wouldn't really recommend it now to have somebody go out and give this a try with their friend without some formal instruction, that was kind of one of your only choices. It was harder to find formal instruction back then, right?
Well, yeah, it was hard, and it was very, very pricey.
Okay.
over in Maui. And so we got the kites, and we had a couple buddies that did this, and they showed us, got us started, and it was really like having instructors, so. And then once we got the basics down and we watched all the videos and reviewed the gear, and then we just worked with each other, trying to get to the point where we could get back to where we started.
Now, by bringing to the table all the skills that you had already developed with your windsurfing, would you say that got you a good part of the way there to get a hang of the idea of kiteboarding?
I think it certainly helps. The board skills are definitely a good thing to have, and that helped out. But just because you can windsurf doesn't mean you're going to kite.
Right.
You can still you still have to figure out the kite, and that's totally different. So
that's like the one factor that is new to everyone coming in to kiting.
Right. That's the new part. But having the board skills down certainly made the learning curve a lot faster. And having somebody there to watch you and talk to you about what you were doing right and what you were doing wrong, that went a long way for getting into it.
Jay, that comes back. We talked a lot last time, Jason and I did, about the community of people. And here you've mentioned Paulo, who's a strong part of the community, and many other men and some women too. And that having those people there to cheer you on and to support you and offer feedback. You're taking a lot of risk when you first start, so it's nice to know that you're there with somebody else. I guess too. Now do you feel like you've turned into a mentor a little bit for some of the people, or in some way sharing? The sport's changed, and we haven't had an episode where we've necessarily talked about the evolution of kiting and kite gear, because the kites have changed. But do you find yourself offering tips, or just smile and spread the stoke after a great session? Because there's many of them you get.
Yeah, I get a lot of them, but the thing that I'm really about is if I see somebody showing up and they're green and they haven't got things quite figured out yet, I really like to work with them and make sure they don't get hurt and they don't spoil a good spot like Duran. They don't hurt anybody else, and so I really like to work with people and just make sure that they're okay, and I do the best I can to get them started off in the right direction. And I've talked, quite a few people have come down to the beach, and I've been able to help them out and get them started in the right direction, and try to be as safe as they can. That's the main thing, is that you're safe and you can get back to where you can get back to the beach again, and it doesn't have to be rescued. So
I have to say thank you, because you've helped me in that capacity, not only with kiting but also with windsurfing back in the day, and you've passed along a lot of good knowledge, and appreciate that for sure. You set a really good standard for the way folks can be to make it a safe and fun atmosphere. So thank you.
I know when Paul and I first started kiting, we were very appreciative of some friends that we'd met in Maui that really helped us out. and get set up and show us how to do it. And you can watch the videos and all of that, but to have somebody right there and say, boom, this is what you do and this is how you do it, and that was very, very helpful. So
excellent.
So
well, if you were going to, what have you guys been up to? What have you been up to in the area lately on the ice? We talked on the car ride down. You got a session in yesterday on the snow at Long Pond.
Yeah. Well, I've had a real good week. So it started out last Thursday. This is the first day of the week that I haven't ridden in a week. So I started out last Thursday, and I got a beautiful session around the south end of Irondequoit Bay in deep powder, and just soft, beautiful riding and nice, gentle breeze, and had a couple hours out there in the afternoon when the wind picked up, and that started off really well.
Yeah.
And then I went to Long Pond on Friday with Don, and Friday was awesome. I was totally lit on a 12 meter. He was fully choked off on a 9.
Okay, so when you're talking about 12 meter too, for the people out there, you're talking, that's how they measure the sail area or the area of the kite. Is a 12 meters of exposed cloth to the wind. And so then with lighter wind, you'd need a bigger kite.
Bigger kite.
And
yeah.
so you were on a bigger kite. Don was.
I was on a
the
medium-sized kite,
Okay.
and he was on a fairly small kite, and the wind was just blowing, and we had perfect snow for edging. I mean, it was just flat, smooth, just sweet. So we had a terrific afternoon. And then we got up early the next morning, and we went up to Tug Hill.
Which we would love to talk to you about that and pick your brain.
You're our man in the field for last weekend.
Yeah, Lynn's talking about the Tug Hill Snow Kiting Festival, which he and Don both went up for that over the weekend, and that was a gathering of like-minded people kiting in the wind on the snow. Tell us about that. You drove up to the Tug Hill. Where was the actual town that you headed?
Yeah, well, we stayed at a hotel in a place called Lowville, which is up on the Tug Hill. It's south of Watertown, maybe 20 miles, give or take, and it's right in the middle of the wind farm up there. So everywhere you look, windmills on everybody's property, and it's sort of flat on top, but there are gentle rolling hills, and some of the sites weren't available, but there was one site that everybody was riding, and it was up on top of this farm hill where you put your kite up, and the next hill over was a little higher, and the wind was touching in there, and everybody was getting rides on that. So it was a fairly small area for 20 some odd kites, to be riding, but it was fun, and it was light wind, and it was just fun to ride with other people and ride with people you hadn't seen, hadn't met, and met a lot of interesting people, and there were some pros there that were top-notch pros, guys doing double back loops, and hardly any wind.
Wow.
So you had to wrestle to keep your kite up. The kite would drop out of the sky every so often when the wind shut off for a minute or two, and then you'd have to get it relaunched and ride. But it was pretty much 2 days of the same thing. By the second day, it was pretty well tracked up. But Don was killing it up there. He was having a great time with the skis, and I was having a good time. I was having a little bit of trouble staying on the fakie side, going off wind, downhill. It was kind of an odd angle to keep with everybody else that was on skis, but I had a great time, and so we had 2 days of that.
Something you'll do again in the future?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely do it again. There were people that came there from North Carolina. Some people came there from Massachusetts and New Jersey, and all over this Philly, and so it was pretty popular. And
how many people would you say how many kites in the sky, on the high end?
I would say on the second day there were more kites up because there was a little more area, and there would probably be about 15 or 20 kites up if the wind was blowing at one time. And then when the wind shut down, there'd be 3 kites up, and the rest of them be on the ground. But
piquing your interest, AJ?
Yeah. I was just curious if it was hundreds of kites or tens of kites.
No, it was probably, I would say it was probably 20 to 30 there at any given time. There was maybe half of them in the air.
Gotcha.
So
if the wind were stronger, would there have been more folks out, you think?
I think that probably the 30 kites would have been flying all the time.
Yeah.
So if it was a little stronger, but it was fun, and there were times when it was just right, and you had to avoid the deep snow, because if you got stuck out in the deep snow, it was well over your knees and very difficult to walk through. So.
So a perfect storm for deer. I mean, you talked about. I mean, we're on a wind farm. You're among the wind turbines, and you've got snow that's over your knees. So it's perfect for. Do you think that? I've always heard. I've heard this that this festival discussed before, that there's people up there that kite, but they don't do it on the water ever. They mostly do it on the snow. Do you think that's true, or is that like an urban legend kind of thing?
Oh no, that's definitely true. There was a guy that sells ozone kites up there in the Watertown area, and he's got a kayak business that he does in the summertime, and in the wintertime he just goes snow kiting. And I don't think he's ever been on the water.
Wow.
So because these kites are all the type of kites that you wouldn't take out in the water. If they fell in the water, you wouldn't be able to relaunch them. So.
Okay.
So that's all he does is snow kiting, and he doesn't even kite in the summertime, which is kind of, to me, it's unusual. But he's not the only one. There's a bunch of them up there that just ride the snow and snow kite and ski. So
wow.
So but everybody had a good time, and they had a big party there, and met a lot of people, and had good place to stay and good eats, and
nice. Well organized and all.
Well organized, yeah.
And interesting, organized by
mass kiting.
Mass kiting, right?
Yeah. We need to maybe partner with them, since we're regional, and I feel like we might have something to add, or at least put in some efforts.
The next step. Well, we've got a good group of people around here that
sure do
kite and even snow kite, and it's almost a different sport on its own, because I know on the Rochester Wind Sports Forum, Brad in Geneva had put up a quick post that he and a friend had been out snow kiting on Seneca Lake, kind of say they did it kind of thing, because that lake never. I mean, what a winter we're having.
Yeah.
That lake never really gets so you can do that.
Right.
And he said it didn't float his boat. He said he had fun, but there was open water, and he wanted to, or he was ready for the open water to
he
start
would rather
coming.
be, yeah.
So it'd be cool to be part of that.
Yeah. But like you said, some folks they prefer the snow. Even Don, he almost, when it's cold out, at least prefers the snow because of the cold factor. When you have to put a dry suit on and all the special headgear and special gloves and booties to go out on the water when it's cold, that can be tedious, and then also potentially uncomfortable, being in 38-degree water or lower. It's not exactly tropical. So yeah.
Well, even Don's changed his mind a little bit over the weekend. He's anxious to get into some waves now.
Oh, is he? Okay.
We were riding this hill, which is kind of like a big wave.
Okay.
And it was very strange, because you would have to lean downhill in your turns and sort of like turning down a face of the wave. So, and that and Long Pond busting through the waves yesterday, these big snow drifts. He's anxious to get on the wave. So,
neat.
So that kind of brings us back to you. So you came back from Tug Hill, and that was Monday?
Well, actually, we got up Monday morning, and it was 0 wind in Watertown, 0 wind in Syracuse, and just dead calm, beautiful sunny day. So we went over to the local ski slope, and there's a beautiful little ski slope there. It's dry hill, and it's just a little bit like a small Swain,
Okay.
And it was all groomed, and it was sweet, and I got up there. I was ready to lay my money down on the counter, $18 for a 4-hour ticket.
That's unheard of.
And Don said to the girl, he said, geez, there's senior discount. And she says, oh, yeah. And she says, if you're over 65. And I'm like, yeah. Put my hand up, I'm over 65. And she says, free.
In age, not
Nice.
in spirit. Are you for real?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I rode the snowboard all morning for free.
Wow.
In beautiful conditions. So that was
Grinning
perfect.
from ear to ear.
That's what I'm talking
about.
We had a great session. And Don hadn't been skiing in a while, but he goes out there, no poles, and he did great.
Oh, I didn't know.
So,
That's great.
so
I'm glad you guys make the best of it.
We had more fun on that hill, and then drove home, and then yesterday I got the call, hey, I'm going to Long Pond, and I had some things in the morning, but we went down in the afternoon and scored huge at Long Pond yesterday. It
Wow.
was,
You had quite a weekend.
yeah, small kite, gale force conditions at times. I launched that little kite at 6 meter in gale force conditions, and it stayed put.
Piece
So
of
I was
cake.
pretty happy about that.
Great.
Wow.
And,
Lynn has a new quiver, and
yeah.
you're quite pleased with it.
Yeah, we're very happy with that quiver.
Good.
You've sort of turned me on to those kites, and boy, I can't say enough about them. I'm so happy with those new kites.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting because I think we've all flown rigs that are either good when it's light, or they're good when it's heavy wind, or really good right in the middle, but not so good on either end. But those kites, that particular model, it just, I'm sure there are plenty others out there, but the RPMs are just so stable at all ends of the spectrum.
RPM, that's a brand? Or
That's
a
the
model
that's
by
the model by Slingshot.
Slingshot,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And there's, like I said, there's plenty of good models and brands out there, but I've just had such good luck with those, and I'm glad to see you having the same. So
yeah, I'm so happy because the control is so good. They turn so fast and they depower so easily that when you're in strong winds, you're not concerned at all.
Yeah.
Once you get the kite up, it's piece
Yep.
of cake from there on.
let the bar out and the stinks let right out of it, so that's
Yeah.
pretty nice.
wow.
So yeah, good.
So anyway, had a great
That's
6
good.
days in a row, on a board.
Nice.
So that's pretty sweet.
Perfect for a
Making
first
it.
guest.
Yeah,
For a
that's
first guest, I mean,
Absolutely.
we're talking
Well,
board sports, but
and it's not only windsurfing and kite surfing
Yeah.
with him. He snowboards, does some traditional surfing, stand up.
Used to water ski quite a bit.
Yeah,
back
water
in the day.
those
Yeah.
boards. Yeah, used to do slalom skiing quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's neat.
So-
they definitely all blend together.
Yep.
So, well, I mean, that's cool. It was gear wise too, just to hear that they're progressing and things are still growing and changing and becoming more user friendly. We've got stuff around the studio here that we've various equipment that we have, and it's stuff that we've used and we know, so that comfort comes from that. But it's a big step then. I mean, it's a big step to go from what you know and to get some new equipment that might be different. You've got to learn that. I mean, when you get to a comfort zone, I'm going to stay right. I mean, it's easy to stay right here.
Yeah.
This feels good. This is what I do. And I've been lucky in windsurfing, in a lot of things in life. Geez, the first job I got, my mother, I felt, pushed me off the cliff, and I got to go be a cashier and talk to people. I didn't want to talk to people. I just wanted to do my own thing, and actually it might not have been a cashier, but put me out there and like, oh, all right, okay, I'm out of this. That's the new comfort zone. So this stuff you're adjusting to. I mean, we've got in the studio. There's a sail behind me, an Ezzy sail, and we've had very slingshot things, and there's Fanatic boards. But we've all had the chance to use different stuff, and we'd love to talk about various manufacturers and things. You probably heard the telephone ring earlier. We're listener supported radio, actually podcasting, much like WXXI. That was probably somebody calling in for the matching grant we have, calling in with a donation to help defray cost of
That's right.
the Finger Lakes Board Sports podcast, and to give me more times to practice saying that during the intro so I don't flub it. So anyway, so Jay, anything exciting you've been up to, board sports related?
Well, I did go down to Oneida Lake. I was on the way down to New York City over the weekend and stopped at Oneida Lake and visited a friend who has a cottage down there. Had a somewhat successful snow kite session on Oneida Lake with the snowboard. And it's just good to get outside, get some fresh air, and enjoy the outdoors. I was hoping to get some surfing in down on the ocean, but with the weather that came through last week, my whole schedule got delayed a bit, and so I didn't make it to the ocean, unfortunately. So
Nuts.
But it's not far away, and it's always there. So
You made it back here.
yeah, safely, fortunately, after being run into twice by somebody on the road. So yeah, cool. Don't want to talk about it.
We will not talk about it. We will not talk about it. You know what though? You did bring in to the studio today.
Yeah.
A couple. You wanted. And
Yeah,
I think it's
still-
fantastic, especially as we're getting into the spring. We don't have long till
Right.
we're getting back in the water.
Yeah.
Around here. So
yeah, I brought in a couple different styles of dry suits, and just for a demo, we're going to try and do this a little product demo each time, or discussion about particular products. And so, in general, dry suits, you have what, if you didn't know any better, would look like a normal wetsuit. I didn't bring one of those. It's just a neoprene suit, usually quite heavy, with a zipper that is actually has a seal in it and seals out the water. Okay,
and it's dry.
So then you have on the wrists, neck, and ankles a seal that keeps the water out. And then these other two suits I have here, this is similar to what I just explained. It is kind of like a baggy snowsuit.
Probably get a little room there.
And
it's fabric.
This is fabric.
Okay.
Yep, it's Gore-Tex. They're not all Gore-Tex, but this particular one is. So the whole suit is a fabric suit, and it also has waterproof zippers here. This goes across the chest, and then it has my favorite feature, a P-zip, so that you can stay hydrated.
Now you're full screen.
Ah, so that one's got 2 zippers.
So where's the top?
Top is here. So. Okay. And then this is actually I bought it off of eBay from a surplus guy. I think it's a secondhand Coast Guard deck suit.
Wow.
It's got the feet are Gore-Tex booties. Some of these similar loose-fitting suits have a latex seal down at the ankle. I find the booties nice because it actually keeps your feet dry, which means they're that much warmer. And then on the arms, we have latex seal, and then neck latex seal.
Wow. What are you wearing underneath that?
Well, that's the beauty of the loose-fitting suit, is that you can layer as much or as little as you need. And on a day in the 30s,
dry clothes.
I wear dry clothes underneath. I'll wear some fleece pants underneath, a thin polypropylene full long sleeve shirt, and a thin fleece vest. And that's all I need to be warm in the 30s. Is actually when you're doing the sport, you're getting your respiration up, so you're pretty warm. So that's it. We don't go out in temperatures below freezing because our gear freezes up and the safeties, won't release, and that could be a problem. Yeah. So we try not to do that. Not that we haven't tried. Lynn and I did a little experiment last year with some 27-degree days, and while we were perfectly warm, all our safeties had frozen, and it was like, if something happened here, we really would have a problem getting out of our gear.
We pushed the envelope that day.
Yeah, we did.
And
but it was a good experiment.
It was good. We figured it out that it's the edge of the envelope is freezing, and
we need to do some innovation with some heated lines and heated safeties. Maybe you got a solar panel up on the canopy, and get a little bit of current come down through the lines. And
this brings me back to when we were trying to use glow sticks to try to go out windsurfing at night as well. Or people talked of it. I don't know anybody tried
People do. It's actually moonlight sessions are pretty doable.
Wow.
Quite doable. So that's one style suit, and this is, like I said, this is kind of like a deck suit, so it has a lot of extra material. It's got pockets on the legs, but that's just the one style. And like Lynn has the same brand suit. This is Coquetat. He turned me on to this brand, and his doesn't have the pockets on the legs, but it's got the same basic setup and does a great job because it keeps you dry and comfortable, and it has the looseness where you can layer underneath.
And it's easy to move inside of it.
Yeah, and easy to get in and out of. Okay, and now I'm going to segue to this other one, which this is similar. This right here, it's a 2-part system. This is made by Ocean Rodeo Company out of the Northwest somewhere. And it has 2 parts. It has this interior dry membrane, similar to the Gore-Tex suit that I have, but much lighter. So it's breathable.
Okay.
With a single zipper across the chest, latex on the neck, wrists, and ankles.
Is that a dry zipper on the chest?
That's dry. So this whole piece, this part 1 right here, you put that on, and then that's your dry side of the suit. And then this is a neoprene outer layer, which you put on over the inner membrane. That then cinches it all up. And the nice thing about this suit is it's not as bulky, and you can actually do paddle surfing with.
Okay.
The beauty of this over a traditional dry suit, like I explained, just a neoprene one, is that with this you can layer as necessary. Under the dry membrane, I can put in as many layers of fleece or polypropylene to match the temperature outside, okay? Or the water temperature, or both. And so if it's wicked windy and cold, you put an extra layer on, and that gives you some customizability for this type of suit. Whereas if you're going out in a thick, say, 5-6 mil wetsuit, which a good brand new hooded 6 mil wetsuit is going to keep you pretty warm, it doesn't give you the flexibility to do some layering underneath.
Right.
So this is kind of, you don't see a lot of this. It's you know, like everything, it's not the traditional way to do it, to do a 2-part, but I thought I would give it a try because, you know, it's always good to be able to layer underneath and adjust the thickness of your suit as the weather requires.
Do you have much experience using, I mean, where does your experience lie using both of those? Are those both yours? Or?
Yes, they're both mine. I honestly use the red one, the 1-part, about 95% of the time because of the ease of entry, and it has the P-zip. And I like to stay hydrated, you know, and when it's cold out, it's good to be able to, you know, not say, oh, I'm not going to drink because I can't pee in my suit.
Yeah.
And, you know, you especially need to stay hydrated when it's really cold out, because if you wind up having to swim in, or you're out longer than you wanted to be, if something happens, you don't want to be dehydrated. And so it's just a comfort thing. And also, if you did really have to go, you don't have to take the suit off.
You stay dry in it.
Yeah. So the other one, there's no zip, and I only use that when I'm going to go paddle surfing, and I really want to have this like a skin suit, which is tight fitting, and obviously with a loose fitting dry suit, you can't really paddle surf. So yeah, about 5% of the time I use the one. It's also nice to have a backup, because if it's a really good day and you know, one of the seals tears, it's nice to be able to have another suit to wear. So
now, I'm one of the guys that uses like the more traditional. Actually, I use a semi-dry or a steamer. You know, with like it's got a 5 mil chest core area, and then lesser millimeter 4 and 3. And it doesn't have the dry zipper, and it's got blocks in the back where the zip is on the back. And I get water in, but you know, I feel like I've got to, you know, it's always in the back of my brain, you know, if I go in the water, you know, I'm not going to be as warm as a guy like you might be. Lynn, Jason mentioned you've got a Gore-Tex suit like that, like Coquetat one. What's your experience been? Because I know you've probably used, you know, traditional neoprene dry suits. You have any insight?
Oh yeah, well, I started out with an old dive suit, you know, which was pretty warm for a wetsuit, but not very flexible, and that I used that till it wore out, and then I went to regular wetsuits, which are great, but you get cold, and then I went to the rubbery dry suit thing.
Yeah, there's Benji.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but we do have 2 guests in the studio.
Say hi,
today.
Benji.
All right, Lynn. He's part of the crew too. So, anyways, thanks for poking your head up over there.
He's always with us when I get to the beach.
Awesome. So you started with you said you started with a dive suit, but that you it's too warm and fairly rigid. Sorry, and then you were.
Well, I went to a traditional dry suit, which is it's like a wetsuit, but it has seals on the wrists and the neck and the ankles, and they're never really dry. So you're out there, and at the end of the day, by the time you come in, you're pretty chilly.
Sure.
And
that's my experience.
Then I got turned on to these Coquetat dry suits, and I've never seen anything like it. I've never been really dry before, and this is absolutely dry. I was up at Cape Cod with a buddy of ours riding up there for like 4 hours in the ocean in big waves and high wind. Came back in dark, peeled the suit off, went to dinner. I had my jeans on, my shirt
He wears
on.
that.
I wore just
jeans.
what I got on.
Yeah.
You know, I had a T-shirt and a fleece and
It's like
my
James
jeans.
Bond.
Well,
And I peeled that off when we went to dinner and had a few
Superman.
pops and had a ball. And I was never wet inside the suit, even after spending that time in the ocean and the surf. And so that's just amazing. It's a whole different world when in the cold weather when you have one of those dry suits.
what do you think the
really
percentage of guys around here that have made that plunge yet? I mean, I know a number of guys that Ken and Rick, I'll mention these guys by names, that have made that transition to the Gore-Tex suit as well. What do you think you guys 50%? Less than?
Probably around.
It's pricey
59.
investment.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Good,
It is
worth
investment.
it, but
Yeah. A new
Yeah,
one
it's
is expensive. I'd say probably at least 50%, somewhere around 50, and that includes some of the windsurfers who've come over.
Right. There's a couple of windsurfing guys, Bill, and it's really thinks a lot of the suit.
Yeah.
You know, and so I heard about it from some guys in Syracuse that were riding with them, and that's where I got it. I found one on eBay that was used in a movie.
Yeah,
and
I
hardly
heard
ever
that.
use it. And,
Wasn't it like didn't
right.
Kevin Costner make some water movie that
right.
bombed? Wasn't it that one? I
yeah,
could be
it
wrong.
was Kevin Costner.
Yeah,
was in that.
some Water World movie or something. There's some comedy for the show.
Yeah, well, I'll remember the
Jeez.
name
It's
in a few minutes.
Millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Nobody
Are you
saw
a
it.
stunt double? Wait a
But-
minute.
Of all things, I got the suit and it just fit perfectly, and it was like brand new. You couldn't tell it was even used, and so
Now, did it smell like Kevin Costner?
Because you can't buy that smell.
No,
That's
no.
priceless.
Yeah.
You can't buy anybody's wetsuit or dry suit smell.
yeah.
You would
Someday
want
I'm
it.
going to find that movie and watch it and see
Yeah.
if that suit's in it. You know?
Oh man!
But,
Wow. Well, I've been pretty quiet, board sports, wise. I really haven't had any sessions. The ice stuff. I've had a couple people contact me and to try to get out, but the ice hasn't been conducive for somebody who's going to windsurf or free skate on the ice. So I've been pretty
it's-
quiet that way.
And for folks who don't realize that what happens is when you get a freeze thaw cycle, the glassiness of the ice just goes away because of that thawing and refreezing. It just crystallizes.
Yep. Or we've had a couple times where we've gotten a couple snow sessions, or what snowmobiles or have gone out, or the ice fishermen. There's I did get out at the Mendopon's Winter Festival. That was
That's right.
a while ago, and that was a lot of fun. A couple ice boat guys were out there. Scott and Gary are two area guys that were on free skates, the ice windsurfers, and. That was a lot of fun, and actually I got out in Canandaigua. I take that back. That was probably 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
But recently it's been pretty quiet. Canandaigua was
With the free skate?
fantastic. Yeah, with
Oh,
the
good.
free skate.
I didn't know that.
There were ice boats out there blazing.
nice.
Wow, those are amazing. Those
Yeah.
guys. I think Scott was in his ice boat. And he was going in the 30s or upper 20s. They clocked him at, and it was amazing to see these things just going off into the distance. And it's a big wide lake. But,
Yeah.
saw some snowy owls. They've been all over the place
Neat.
out on the ice, and that was cool.
Pretty
But,
rare.
and other than that, it was organized in the second annual Rochester Wind Sports Hi Ho for Hook In Hang Out, and you guys were both there.
Yep.
Just got the community together, and Jay, you kind of mentioned it a lot last time. We've been talking a lot about community, and Lynn, you've mentioned community with Paulo and learning and getting going. It was good to get together with the crew. People you hadn't seen in a while, share a couple sodas and some chicken wings and some laughs. And any feedback from that? I mean, it was.
Well, thank you for getting that together
Sure.
because it was fun. And you brought your what do you call the board?
Indo board.
Indo
Balance
board. I hadn't been
yeah.
on one of those since the 70s.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and that was fun. That was I need to get one of those. So it was really good to work your balance and do that. And then somebody had brought a huge retro wind skate or free
Yeah.
skate.
For ice.
It was a custom. It was like a delta pattern. It was this big piece of plywood.
It looked fast sitting on the floor.
It looked fast.
It
in a straight line, I think you'd do all right with that. I don't know how much turning that thing would do.
You know what? It reminded me of of some sort of Star Trek Klingon spacecraft. You know, some little model they used or something. I don't know. But so that was
kind of neat.
That was really cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good to chat with everyone and see some faces I hadn't seen in a while.
Yeah, I've had a good time. I want to say thanks to you for setting that up. I mean, I had a wonderful time there, and everybody I talked to was just happy to get together in the middle of the winter, and guys you hadn't seen in a while. And
yeah, a lot of your old windsurfing buddies.
Yeah, Doc Miller was there.
That's right.
So we got the latest
Miller's
on Bodie.
Uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got the latest on Bodie. And,
speaking of board sports, he did. Yes.
He medaled.
Pretty exciting.
Congratulations, Bodie.
Yep.
That's a long, and I mean, they talked about his age too. That's a long time. He's been pushing at a high level. It takes a special person.
A very highly
special
winning
mindset.
Yeah.
I think, or a unique person
to stick with it,
to
persevere. Yeah,
persevere. To persevere, right? So pretty much, that's kind of all I've been up to. Anything else for the good of the cause?
Looking forward to some thawing weathers here and getting some of our water back, because it's been a long time since I've had any time on the water, and haven't gone away this year. Spoke with a friend who's down in New Jersey in this past week, and he went to Puerto Rico about 2 weeks ago and had 2.5 weeks of 8-meter days, which is usually winds in the 20s, which for Puerto Rico is pretty sweet. So
in Bath, how was the water like?
Yeah,
Bath
board
water,
shorts, yeah. And I had gone the previous 2 years, but have decided to stick around this year, and he had a great time. So
that was a good trip. You and I went on to Puerto Rico. It was amazing.
That was
just a whole week of shorts and T-shirts and riding on water in bathing suits, and
in the middle of January.
It's a good recharge, right?
Yeah, and it's pretty handy because it's so close. You have U.S. currency, U.S. passport, so you don't need a passport, and quick to fly there. One stop at JFK, and you bounce down, and you're there, and pretty neat.
Wow.
Yeah. And Jason and I lucked out because we got there, and there was a big low-pressure system out in the middle of the Atlantic. Was just kicking up big surf all week. So there was huge surf
there.
There
were monster waves,
and, so
pretty
Jason tried his hand at surfing in one of the premier surf spots down there, Trace Palms.
Yeah. Maria's steps.
Big, head and a half waves down there. So.
I had no business being. I'm glad I had done some swimming in the swimming pool before I left. Because you told me the importance of working on doing some underwater laps and holding your breath a lot, and I'm glad I did, because I got pulled under and held under for a better part of 30 seconds, getting tumbled in a pretty big wave.
Yep.
And it was definitely a whole different experience. Not to say that we don't on the Great Lakes. I've been in some as big waves. They just don't break the same. The waves on the Great Lakes are wind-driven mush, pretty much. This was an actual groundswell wave that just kept breaking, and I got caught in it. Didn't know how to, probably could have gotten myself out of it if I knew what I was doing. But so
when you see that happen, one of the the last things I'll kind of close with as we're wrapping up is when we were at the Hi-Ho, the Hook In and Hangout up there in Fairport, one of the things we got to see, talking about the waves crashing on your head, was a hilarious video that one of our local regulars in the community, Bill, had put together of him getting rinsed over and over, just breaking waves in some really intense conditions in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. And you could only laugh if you'd been there, because you knew what it was like to have gone through that. So we'd all paid the price, and it was pretty humorous. But I guess glad the trips like that can be recharging down to Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are looking to the everybody's looking to the warmer weather. I think it started, but I got my fingers crossed, holding out for this kind of. We're going to get some rain, I think, in the next couple of days, and maybe that'll clean up the ice a little bit and get out for a couple late February. I've been out with Rick on Irondequoit Bay before this time of year and had some great little ice windsurfing sessions. So I'm hopeful for that.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful for that. We could talk about it in the next month.
Cool.
next month's podcast. So we're at the end of the show.
This is it.
We got there again.
Yep.
All right, man. We filled the airwaves with enough. But so we're at the end of the show. If you stuck with us, thanks for sticking around. We're going to talk Great Lakes surfing next show. We'll have a special guest in and talk with us a little bit about that. This person's organized some contests before and things like that. And you certainly don't think of surfing when you think of the Great Lakes. So I'm going to be fascinated to hear what that's all about when we talk about that next show. So yeah, keep living the adventure, you guys.
You too,
and,
Doug.
yeah, thanks for making the trip. We're in beautiful Seneca Falls, New York, and we make a willful drive down to this beautiful town every once a month. So this is great. But so thanks,
Well,
Lynn Davis
thanks
for being
having
here.
me. Say
Thanks,
bye,
Benji, for being
Benj.
part of the show. Jay, any final parting words?
Nope. Thanks
Awesome.
again to Jim.
Awesome. Well, I'm Doug Willard, and for Jason Gordon, Lynn Davis, get out there and have fun, and we'll see you next time on the Finger Lakes Board Sports Podcast on Finger Lakes One.